Hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Living the Dream Tom. I want to talk about and share with you how I've kept chickens successfully, I'd like to say, over the last 6 years. 6 years. And I started off just like most people, going to a chicken breeder, and that was just as a lot of people did. Possibly you did as well. Please let me know in the comments below, if you're one of those people that in the lockdown you went and got chickens. Hopefully most of you have still got them, and like me, you've managed to successfully keep them safe, keep them well, and also possibly extended your flock by having your own cockerel, breeding your own eggs, incubating your own eggs, or like I done recently, going and getting some eggs off someone who had a cockerel and has fertilised eggs. As I didn't have a cockerel, I only had the initial 3 chickens, like I just said, I bought from a chicken dealer during the lockdown at quite an expense, I must add, and that was 6 years ago, and I believe they were £40 each. Yeah, they were about £40 each. Now 2026 or 2025, last year, when I inquired with a local chicken breeder for bantams, which are the small chickens, in general world terminologies, from the UK to the USA, shall we say, we have bantams that are small, and then half bantams, half chickens, which I believe, if you're in the US of A, I hope I've said that right, or America, sorry, that you call them backyard birds. And that's what I've got now. And the eggs that we put under one of the chickens that I already had that went broody, and that's when they sit on eggs and try and hatch eggs. They were what you call Easter eggers, with their really multicoloured eggs, which was amazing. Anyway, I'll show you the chickens, the cockerel that we have now, in the name of self-sufficiency and permaculture. And also, if like me, going and spending, I didn't say the cost. Last year, the cost of the bantams, I went right off on one then. The cost of the bantams, she estimated the girl that were going to be £60 each. I don't know how that translates into dollars, possibly $80, something like that at current rates. But yeah, quite an expense. And if you calculate that of how many eggs you're going to get, and initially I don't know if that's what we all do, we think, how much are we going to spend, or how many eggs are we going to get, and what's the value in that? So the more that we can decrease our initial setup and value, obviously the better. But one thing I should say, no one told me before I started keeping chickens that they didn't, unless you had heat lamps and artificial light, they wouldn't lay all year. So stay tuned, and I'm going to show you the real deal on how to keep chickens off grid as averse to having power. So being able to get your, what we call the broody birds, to replace your incubators. And I personally think that that isn't how nature intended. So it's all good if we do want to incubate eggs, and I'll show you the little incubator that I managed to use, but we only managed to hatch 1 chicken out off of it, and it was touch and go. It was touch and go because of the sun wasn't coming out, and I'm only on solar, so without any generators, etc. But it's all been good, and I've just had my breakfast of a couple of eggs. So stay tuned, and we'll have a look now at what I feed them on. As I say, I would keep them safe, especially off grid if you've got predators that are going to come and try and eat your chickens. Talk about electric fencing, 12-volt fencing, how you link that up with the solar, etc. What I feed them on, how I keep them, the different ways that I've kept them, and in different situations, because a bit like gardening, it all depends on where you are. Anyway, stay tuned, let's have a look at how we do it. There's our cockerel. And this is something that's important. Chickens and what they love. We can just catch them in action now. furry toes. She's one of the old guard. She's what they call a bantam. What they're doing now is what's called dusting up. You can see the white one at the back there. And they love an area that's nice and sandy and dusty and dry, and under the towel pool in here under the outdoor kitchen always stays dry. And they like ash as well. You put fire ash down in there. What they're trying to do, I think, is get rid of all their mites, the little fleas and grubs that live in their feathers. Also in the summer they love doing it in the cool earth. They love cooling down. But yeah, they love this outdoor area. And again up there, there's furry cheeks. They give them all names, and they do know their names. They're also called what's gritting up as well, trying to get loads of bits of grit that they need for digestion, and obviously their eggshells. Okay, let's go and have a look at where they live now. Right, Lorna. There's a little Peking bantam. There's the grey chick in there. She was a surrogate mum. She sat on the eggs, then incubated. He's lot. Yeah, he's quiet now, but he does feature in many of the videos with his crowing. Right, let's go and look at their house. Who lives in a house like this? I do apologise for that bright light on the camera. That's the sun that's came out after 1 month. Come on in. Come on in. Make this little noise. When I want them to go in, it's always handy to have a little noise so they think they're going to get fed. Especially if you want to shut them in their run. You need to go out. It's always good to have them trained to be able to go back in. But this is their outdoor run, and this is what they'll be in the daytime when I need to go out. I don't leave them out to roam around when I'm not here. Stop the predators finding them. So at the moment I've got a dozen. That's a 4 metre square run there. There's plenty of space for them to be in, and that'd probably be as much space if you're keeping them in a backyard that you'd have anyway, and that's a minimum sort of space. But I wouldn't want them to be in that many birds in that space to be in there constantly. But they've got this massive outdoor area here. There he goes. Coming to feature on the video, and all of these different structures you can see here, these were called field arcs. When I first had the chickens, their job was to there you go, right on cue. It's dying to be on camera. There you go. I haven't trained him to do that, honestly. Right, that's enough now. As I was saying, yeah, these are what we call Sussex field arcs. And they were designed to clear all the vegetation. Clear the vegetation when I planted the orchard. Keep the grass down and the weeds in between the orchard, and they're wired completely 360, even the floor in there. Told you he wasn't trained. Yeah, there's chicken wire, 360 the floor, and all over. And you can drag those around your garden, around the orchard, around a meadow. Means they can get on fresh grass every day, or fresh vegetation, and it keeps it clean. But this run here is just completely fenced in all the way round. Take a time just to listen to the wildlife there. It's the robin giving you an amazing song. Here he is, where is he? There's the cockerel. Anyway, that's the different chicken houses I had first of all. And then when I moved them down, when the orchard was clear, when I moved them down to this area, sorry, the sun's getting right there. I wanted to keep them in the closer to the cabin. And I made this big house, which is up off the ground. I just got a load of old 20-litre barrels. Take up off the ground, then it's a piece of plywood with plastic on. And then all of this is from a sports netting place that does sports netting. This was to go. Okay lad, that's enough now. Yes, it was all upcycled, all this materials, and even a lot of the wood was from a builder's merchant skip. And have we got anyone sitting there at the moment? But it's been raining for a few days and they've been in. So it's time to clean them out today, and I'll show you that in a minute how we clean them out. But that's just wood chippings on the floor, and then the nest boxes where they lay their eggs over there. I've just got straw in, but there we go. We've got one sitting. Who have we got in there? Got black chicken sitting there, sitting on eggs. Good girl. And we'll leave her there. She's laying an egg. There's 3 nest boxes in there. Just close that a minute. That's just vented at the top with a hatch that closes. Difficult at the moment with the cockerel. He wants to be the star of the show. But that's chicken wire underneath that, and then plastic, and then that strong woven mesh. But again, chicken wire everywhere. Moving on. Right, have you had enough now? Shouting, letting everyone know you're the cockerel. There's his girls. Come on in, come and say hello. Oh, he's not finished yet. Okay, that's enough now. Doing. That's a noise to be fed. Doing. And what that is there, that old veg bag there, that used to have carrots in what they're pecking. They know what's in there. And this is something when we talk about food now, what I feed them. It's not only do I give them my scraps from the vegetable garden. Luckily there's a greengrocers down the road. And all the offcuts, as we know, everybody wants their food nice and tidy. So many little wilting green leaves of the cabbages, trimmings, carrot tops, especially the bunch carrot tops. They love those. But yeah, plenty of free greens. I just put them in that old vegetable crate to a little bit tidy, and then every week or so I just rake up what's left, and that goes into the compost. But they especially love the cabbage. There you go, girls. Let's put one in there as well for you then. And you can see they've been in because it's been raining for a few days and I've had to go out. So it's got a little bit muddy in there. I try to, the back part of the run doesn't get much rain. But yeah, there's not much we've been able to do. We've been in floods for the last month, as is most of the UK. So they love vegetable scraps, they love greens, and if you're keeping them somewhere where they can't get to greens and grass and what have you, vegetable scraps is great. And if you can go to your local greengrocers, come on in, Lord. Go on then. All the better. So that's where they are at the moment. What they really want, I imagine, is some grain. So I buy it in, as I haven't got any pasture land to buy corn and grain in. And I just buy that from the local garden centre, agricultural centre. Loads of places sell it. All right. I just keep that in store. You have enough light camera for that. Comes in 20 kilo sacks. I just keep it in a dustbin. It's just mixed grain and corn. You can't see that actually. We just take a handful out. And it's just maize and wheat, this. Take that out into the light to show you. Yeah, so it's just maize and wheat. Doing. And if you keep them trained, whatever little noise you want, and just give them a little bit of food now and again. It's a lot easier when you want to go out and shut them back in their run. And closing them back in is something I try and do at least 2 hours before dusk, just in case they've gone astray. Sometimes they'll fly over the fence, over the electric fence, and the fencing is all round, I'll show you now. And when you first put up a fence, they find the odd hole in it. So yeah, I like to get out a couple of hours before dusk and make sure they're all about, just in case there's any dramas. You don't want to be looking for them in the middle of the wood at night time. You're just talking about how you escape. So round there, what I've got all the way up round the cabin now is traditional wire stock fencing, and then there's an electric fence on the top of that. So I just reposition. He's saying there's stock fencing all the way around the cabin, and that green mesh netting, that was again offcuts from the sports netting supplier. They have a great big skip with it all outside. As you can see, the camera's moving, jumping around a little bit. I'm using my gimbal that I bought years ago. I just dug it out. Smooth 4. Can't pronounce the other name, but yeah, Smooth 4. I'm just trying to get used to it. Hopefully you got all of that. I'm just going to clean out your house. I'll take this opportunity while the sun's shining. Just go and clean their house out, and then we can talk about what I put in their house, how often we clean it out and what we do with it. That chicken was just laying. Hopefully she's finished laying. If not, we'll just give it a few minutes. I've got my trusty bucket, my dustpan from a dustpan and brush set, and this handy little gardening tool with a little hand rake. I find that's good. You can use it that way up, scraping, or that way up as well. Anyway, let's have a little peep. See if they're still laying. See if they are, we'll come back. Oh no, they're all gone. Let's have a look. So that was the white one, long tail and black chicken. And there we go. Beautiful. You can just see that with the light when I get out the light. And there's two lovely eggs. I've already had breakfast, but there you go, and that's what it's all about. I was saying, these Easter eggers, I don't know if I've told you that the eggs that we hatched this year, that's the cockerel and all the white chickens, they were Easter eggers, and they lay these sort of pea green eggs. I had one that was blue, almost blue as well. But there you go, that's what it's all about. But on with a messy job. There's their perches. Chickens need a perch. We love the sort of natural instinct to perch up at night. Just put these 2 eggs in my pocket carefully and remember they're in there a minute. And these perches, these are just hazel poles. And try to keep them, well, how wide are those? You can see I've put my hand around it. What you don't want them is too flat. And you want them varying in sizes so their feet don't ever get to sort of always get the same sort of grip. I can't remember what it's called. Someone will let us know in the comments below. But yeah, in the wild obviously they're got different sized branches, so at night their feet take different shapes. But there you go. Right, okay, that's sawdust in there, and I get that from a local agricultural supply. It comes in massive bales. It's just a byproduct of the timber industry. And then the nest boxes are just straw, and again I buy small bales of straw from the agricultural place. And for this house, for 3 nest boxes, changing the straw regularly, and as long as you haven't got anywhere they can perch up above their nest boxes, then they won't go to the toilet, because they often go to the toilet when they're perching. You probably just see down there underneath the perches most of the build up of their waste. So yeah, don't have it. They were, when they were chicks, perching up on the side of nest boxes. So to get over that, I just put a load of old branches there so they couldn't nest up there. Yeah, you don't want them perching up above their nest boxes, otherwise they get them full of muck. So anyway, there's our little house, and all we need to do now is scrape all that out. I suppose that's been in there now for a couple of weeks, and then every couple of days I just put a handful of wood chips over the area where they perch up. They don't often scratch up in there. They will if they've been shut in for days and days. And if you've seen one of my other videos on keeping chickens, what you can do is put the ash, if you've got a wood fire, put the ash from your wood fire, little sprinkling on their drop-ins, and that helps speed up the conversion from one type of nitrogen and sodiums and all this different. Sorry, I won't carry on trying to explain that, but anyway, it makes it compost down faster and turn it into food that the plants can use. This will all go into a bag now. We use one of those bags that we got the vegetable scraps in. See the black chicken's out there now. Just a little bit concerned. She looks like she's got a bit of white on her rear end. Just have to go and make sure that she's all healthy. We talk about health and problems I've had with health and what have you, and remedies that I've used successfully and possibly unsuccessfully. That's what it's about. Anyway, right, let's get this raked out, and then we'll put some new wood chippings in there. So I'll start underneath where their perches are, where the main build-up of their droppings are. Just, it's been so wet. A little bit damp, just got in the sun through the door. And so after about a couple of weeks, you get a good build-up. And just, you'll notice that it builds up right under their perches. So they don't often scratch it around. We'll have a whole sack full of this, and this is going to go straight up on the veg garden. We've got loads more rain coming, and what will happen, as I'm sure you can imagine, is the rain will just wash all of the goodness down into the soil, and then hopefully just leave this as mulch to break down through the summer, but also maintain some level of moisture in the soil, as we've got really dry, well drained soil up there. And no doubt after it's rained for a month, if there's anything like last year, we'll have droughts and hosepipe bans. And yeah, it didn't rain, it rained all last spring, and then after all the seedlings just looked quite battered, there was no rain for about 6 months I actually ran out of water last year up in the garden, and that's something I'm going to feature in one of the following episodes. So much actually. I'll just go straight into that. Straight into the bag. Just trying to take off where the main droppings are. Just get that, take that one up in the bucket. We don't need to put it straight on the veg garden. I'll just leave it in the bags. Compost down even more. But yeah, the goodness that the plants need to wash out in the rain and leave a lovely mulch of sawdust to keep the moisture in the soil. Right, got the worst of it off. Just rake that up in the back there. The rest of that can stay there, as long as you keep taking the worst off. Just checking through it. Right, that's the main bulk of their droppings off. It's actually only half a sack on the bucket. What we need to do now is go and get some fresh sawdust. And put another bucket of sawdust in there and keep that nice and fresh for another few days. And I say we just add every couple of days or every day. Just put a handful of fresh sawdust underneath their perches to pick up most of their droppings, and a handful of fire ash is amazing as well. Go and collect the wood shavings. They're in a bed in the polytunnel. And these lovely squashable buckets. Don't know if anyone else has got one. I use this for all sorts. Oh, they're loving the sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Chickens get down in the sunshine. What is that strange light in the sky? What is that strange bright light in the sky? They're saying we haven't seen that for a month. Feel sorry for everyone who experienced floods recently. What is important, keeping them in safe. This electric fence goes all the way around that fence line. They will jump over it sometimes, but I find when you go to get them back in, because they're sort of out of their territory and they end up making a sort of safe territory, they get quite scared, and even though they know me, they always flap and fluster and luckily fly back over. Once that's happened a few times, they generally stay in there. Okay, let's go down. What a beautiful day. Even if it's a bit breezy, take that. See, the wild garlic's just starting to come through. Let me see if there it is. Get some in the light. Wild garlic coming through now. Stinger nettles coming through. Lord and Lady's coming through. Loads of wild garlic there, look. Spring is almost here. So should, on the first sunny day for a month, get some heat in the polytunnel today as well. If you watched any of the last episodes, it was all about the hotbed. That's where we put the compost underneath the raised bed there. We've got some bubble wrap down, and it's actually really warm in there today. But yeah, if you check that out, hot bedding, it's where you put all your partly decomposed compost under the soil in a trench, and as that's compost, and that creates heat, and off grid should give us a few degrees extra warmth to get everything going. Right, there it is. So New Flake, that's called. That's from Mendip Wood Shavings. It's a little bit coarser than fine sawdust. I think it's sold for horse bedding or horse stables. But yeah, pine. One thing I would say is put a dust mask on when you're using this. And never carry the bucket into the wind unless you want some up your nose. But that's the shavings. We'll just fill the bucket up now. Put your whole bucket, maybe half a bucket, and then we'll take that over. If I didn't have this in the name of permaculture and completely off-grid, what we would use, although because I've got the luxury of that at the moment, we would use the leaves that we raked up when it was dry. Those will wet that bag, and you can see there's a little bit damp, but if you leave the bag open they'll dry out, or if you left them in a pile in a pollinator, but I collect all the leaves off the track, and you can store up dry leaves and use that. Grab a few handfuls and not breathe in. Comes quite compact. Like that bit enough. Let's go. It's already incredibly warm in there just with a couple of hours of sunshine. Beautiful weather. It's at that time of year, they say very seasonally depressive day of the year or something. I mean, it must be, especially when you're just surrounded by grey and it's rained all day, every day for a month. Luckily, got a few evergreens here. I'm blessed. What I have to put up with lack of resources, modern resources, makes up for nature. Who's that? Making an appearance. He'll be on the last couple of videos, so I'm saying people have been missing him. But like everyone, Tom's out today. It's just sawdust. We're just doing the chickens, Tom. Getting the chickens' nest out. What difference a little bit of sunshine makes. Need to get some bare skin onto that sun, really, get some vitamin D, get rid of all these little bugs and lurgies that have been kicking around. Right, there we go. Oh, sorry, brown chicken, you're just coming in to lay. Sorry, girl. You get it. Just disturbed her from laying. Right, let's just quickly get that done in a minute then. I say, just position most of it underneath their perches. Right, let's get that door closed because brown chicken wants to lay. We might get 3 eggs today. When it comes to spring, it's like It's like 0 to hero, and these are only, it's the first, not even a year old. All these white ones and that little brown chicken and the cockerel, they're not even a year old. But it's 0 to 0 with laying. You get the first few I got on the winter solstice, 21st of December. And then, yeah, they start, I suppose 21st of March, is that the spring equinox? Maybe some pagans who are informed can let us know. But yeah, it means that seems to be a significant date as well. It's to do with the sunlight. That's right, I remember my cousin telling me that. It's to do with the hours of daylight, and that's why you've got eggs in the shops all year round, because they've got artificial light tricking the chickens into thinking it's spring and summer. But yeah, out here it's all to do with the sunlight. So imagine it must be more than 14 hours. I remember reading this, something to do with more than 12 to 14 hours of daylight, and that's when they go into peak production, or start peak production. As always, thank you for everybody that's liked, subscribed and shared already, and if you haven't and you've liked this video and you want to see more and stay in tune to get the notifications, please give us a subscribe, and also comment and say hello. Let me know where you are and how you're finding it so far, and especially any comments on how I can improve or what you'd like to see going forward. Anyway, thanks for watching. Living the dream, Tom.